All right, well, thanks, Tanya. I thought it was too funny not to put it up here because 2020 has been a year for the ages, right? So when Tanya first called me about coming and doing a presentation, it was in March, right? And right when the toilet paper shortage happened, I don't know if any of you have been in Sam's Club in Sioux Falls still. I still can't find a bulk supply of toilet paper, but if you're a pasture guy, you've got plenty of supply with your other broadleaf weeds out there, right? And we can sell durability and softness and yeah, all those tangible things that Sherman has taken years to put together. So we're going to talk about pasture management and those new herbicides. And I'm Karissa, as Tanya mentioned. I grew up in central Montana, so Cascade. I guess a lot of people look at the map and they're like, oh, you grew up in more like western Montana. Well, I'm still on the east side of the Rocky Mountain front. I went to Montana State University, Bozeman, and no, they did not beat the Jacks, okay? I know what my crowd is like here. And they actually lost to them. They got creamed, like creamed corn. So anyways, we'll move forward, since we're not even getting fall football this year anyways. I live in Sioux Falls. I lived in Fargo for 2 years. And let me just say, you all are blessed to live down here because there ain't no winter like a Fargo winter, right? The wind, I thought the wind blew hard off the Rocky Mountain front. No, it doesn't even compare to that tabletop up there. So I've been doing this for 4 years. I have the best job one of the best jobs in the industry, no bull about it. And I really mean that. I love what I do every day, and I hope that you all will ask me questions while I talk. I know it's hard to remember everything when you go through, so please interrupt me. That's my favorite part of these types of interactions. So again, I thought it's good to point out, like, I don't have 20/20 vision apparently, right? I'm wearing glasses, but if we did have 20/20 vision, you know, what would that look like? What would we create? Because 2020 is perfect, right? Well, let's just take the year out of it. But I was joking with my mom at the beginning of the year. I said, I wish I could drop my body off at the gym and pick it back up when it's ready. Wouldn't that be nice? You know, if it was just like an auto body shop. And what if our pastures were that same way? What if we looked at our pasture acres with 20/20 vision? What can we do to make this the best crop ever? And that's what I'm going to challenge us to do and to see. So last year, as you all know, we had plenty of moisture, right? That was the talk of the time. Brian and I were just visiting about that earlier. It's like the faucet never turned off. And you get your binoculars tuned in, and I've got plenty of grass. I don't need to spray my weeds. What are those things? Behind the cow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, insulation. So we saw a lot of Canada thistle and bull thistle, as you all are seeing, you know, your Charlie Brown Christmas trees, right, out in all these pastures. Sometimes I want to close my eyes when I drive down the highway because there's so many bull and musk thistles out in pastures this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to control those, how to get to those sensitive areas. You know, I'm not saying broadcasting fits for everybody. Sometimes it's just hitting the worst spot, and that's what this picture really captures. So my challenge to you all is to think about what's your vision for next year on your pasture acres, and how can we encompass the highest production on that acre looking forward. So again, we had a lot of standing water last year. My joke was that I could go fishing on basically any pasture. I tried holding a tour up in Wimbledon, North Dakota, and no lie, we would have had to take canoes out to see the weeds, and the weeds were drowned out. I mean, there was just so much water, but what has that created for us this year? Anybody have any ideas? What are you seeing in your pastures? What are you seeing in your row crop acres? A lot of weeds, right? We had cold soils coming into the spring. A lot of you maybe dealt with your pre-emerge herbicides not fully working, not fully sticking. And then you look at your pasture acres and they've just blown up with weeds. Well, the wind never blows here, does it? Never. I mean, we never get a wind ever, yeah. So the wind blew a lot of these prevent plant acre seeds everywhere. What are we seeing in pastures that we've typically not seen? I just answered like 5 phone calls on it today. Mare's tail. We're seeing a ton of mare's tail. That's like, what? In pasture? So, and if you grew up in Montana, you were calling mare's tail skinny kosher for a long time, but little did they know, I hauled it home with me. So, anyways, we think about why spray. Why would we want to spray? And I bring up these statistics because I think it's important that sometimes I think it's easy to get sidelined and think about what everybody else is doing around us, but what do we have control of? What's in our line of sight, right? Getting back to that 20/20 vision. And that truly is, does it pay to spray what I currently own or what I currently lease versus renting more? Can I get more production on the acres that I have today versus renting more? And what does that rent look like? So I've done my research on South Dakota, and as you can see, I'd say we're kind of in that southeast area. And if you split the difference, you're somewhere around $70 an acre for cash rent. That's a lot of money. And we all know who likes eating steak. Probably everybody in here, right? Yeah, we all like eating steak. Even the cameraman raised his hand. So what's that beef worth to us? People still want to eat quality beef, and we raise the best of it right here on this ground. So if we can spray our own, it makes sense versus renting more. It's even more true if it's owned. And what are the winter hay prices going to be? Probably not going to be very good, let's be honest, right? Because it's been a pretty good couple years of growing hay. People have gotten quite a bit of production off that ground. But still, what if we have a really long drawn out winter? What are you going to do? Or if we have an open fall or an open spring, you know, we need that pasture grass to graze. So what can we do today to think about what we can do later?